This is Dr. Reed Tuckson, and welcome to the first episode of our new podcast entitled, I've Decided to Live 120 Years. We are really excited to bring this information to you. We are excited to talk to you about the ideas that are contained in this incredibly wonderful book by Ilchi Lee that really poses a dynamic question for all of us. Are we prepared to make the choices and the decisions necessary for us to live lives of greater meaning and transcendent purpose, allowing us to live the longest that we can live as well as we can live, and living consistent with the kinds of values that we have as spiritual beings? As I said, my name is Reed Tuckson. I'm a medical physician trained in internal medicine, which is one of the major disciplines of American medicine. I have been lucky enough in my life to be the Commissioner of Public Health for the nation's capital. I've been the senior physician at the March of Dimes Birth Defects Foundation. I've been president of a academic medical center in Los Angeles, training the next generation of health professionals who are committed to helping people live better lives. I have been the senior physician at the American Medical Association and the senior physician at the largest health company in America called United Health Group. And now I'm on my personal mission. And my personal mission is to try to help as many people as possible to be as healthy as possible. As I have lived out that mission as a professional, I've also incorporated it into my personal life. I have been so lucky to find my friends at Body and Brain Yoga, and they have taught me well. They've excited me. I have had the great pleasure of being around one of the great teachers of any of this that we've ever had, and that's Susanim Ilchi Lee. And I have really been inspired by what I have learned and have incorporated it into my life. And because of that, because I know and understand the values of being able to put all of the pieces of my life together, my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, putting all of those things together and living it every day has really transformed my life. And because I'm so grateful and so excited by the journey that I'm on, I wanted to share those with you. So over the coming weeks and months, I will have the great opportunity to join with you, to present you exciting and smart people who have thought about the kinds of issues that we are interested in and that have been pointed out by Ilchi Lee's book, which is just really terrific and exciting. Let me show you something that I think is a good way to get us started. Could I see the first slide? I'd like people to see this idea of a definition of health. Health is not, as so many people believe, the absence of disease. But as we see here, the World Health Organization teaches us that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. That the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, without distinction of race, religion, political belief, and economic or social condition. I think that really kind of gets at it and really says what needs to be said. You can take that off now, because I would say to you personally that as a physician, as a healer, this has been really, I think, a great focus for me and my personal mission. That this notion of how can each of us bring together these three critical elements. And beyond that, as Ilchi Lee does in this book, to encourage a societal, a world transformation so that we can all begin to work together to be able to contribute that. Let me show you a copy of the book. This is the book that we'll be working from, and I hope that each of you has the opportunity to pick up a copy of the book, I've Decided to Live 120 Years. And it's really important that we make that choice, because what I think that this book is saying to us is that whatever age that we are now, we need to envision a long future for ourselves, a future that we need to start preparing for today. And you can take the slide off, and let me just sort of again emphasize that I have really found it exciting at my age and in my life is that as I start to think about where I am now in my life, I'm not so much interested in what people call retiring, to just go and play golf 24 hours a day and vegetate. I'm still engaged in the world. I'm still excited by the possibilities of life. I'm so excited about being able to have my mind active and engaged. And I'm excited about pursuing my spiritual journey as I try to get closer and closer to understanding true self and understanding the way in which my true self relates to the divine, to the eternal. Those things animate me and they make me excited. And so I know that if I'm going to have the chance to enjoy all of that, I've got to make some choices and decisions. Not to say that my life is almost over, but in fact, I have a lot of life yet to live. And I have an obligation to myself to prepare myself physically, mentally, and spiritually, emotionally, to be able to enjoy every second of every day that is left to me. And that really is great, really, really animating, and it's fun and it's exciting. So no matter how old you are that's watching this podcast with us, whether you are in your 60s as I am, or whether you're in your 20s as my children and grandchildren are, each one of us has an opportunity today to make a choice, to say, I am deciding that I'm going to live 120 years as a wonderful marker, but it really means I'm making a choice for my own sake, my own health, my own life, my own well-being. And I think that's a choice that can be very, very profound because it will influence everything you do from this moment forward. Well, there's 5 things which we really are going to focus on in the coming weeks and months. And they are the substance of this great book, I've Decided to Live 120 Years. And so let me just show you and tee up for you what we're going to be talking about over this journey that we're going to take together. Number 1, we're going to talk about making the choice to live a healthy life and why that is so important and how each of us can do that in our own way, appropriate to our own personal circumstances. Number 2, we're going to talk about taking the actions that are necessary to be physically healthy. Some of this may seem obvious, sometimes it's not. But above all, without the commitment that we're making to live a healthy life, we won't take the necessary steps to be physically healthy. So this follows logically after the first point. Number 3, we're going to talk about employing the techniques that will enhance our mental health. You know, today people really do need help in that regard, almost all of us. And so there are practical things which we're going to talk about, which you will really benefit from, I'm convinced. Number 4, we're going to talk about focusing on developing our spiritual lives. And I think this is really the core for me, the basic essence of what this really is all about. And number 5, really important for today's world, protecting and connecting us with the world and the people around us. We have such an intimate relationship with the larger environment. And this larger environment, this world that we've been so blessed to be born into, we have an obligation and to do well by that world, to protect that world. And we also have an obligation to learn from and protect the people that we encounter all around the world. And so this is a very exciting opportunity for us as well. Well, let's start. You can take the slide off and let's think about the first thing that we talked about. And that is to make the choice to live a healthy life. I have to tell you that I am becoming very sad when I think about the number of people who are not healthy, the people who are dying from serious illnesses. All around this world today, we are encountering reports of people who are, that our country now, that people are living less longer. In fact, life expectancy, amazingly, despite all of our technology, despite all of the knowledge that we have, life expectancy is going down in the United States. And that's really become now a serious wake-up call for all of the nation. Can we show that slide, please? Because I think this headline that came out just the other day is worth sharing with all of our podcast participants. Drug overdoses, suicides caused drop in 2017 U.S. life expectancy. And the Centers for Disease Control director says this is indeed a wake-up call. That this notion of a life expectancy, it's a snapshot of the overall health of the nation. And so we have too many people who are dying early from preventable illnesses. Thank you for that slide. Let me tell you what's also underneath these statistics. You would be amazed, but we still have almost 17% of the population in the United States that are still smoking tobacco. And around the world, those numbers in many countries are even worse. 24% of Americans get no other exercise than getting up and going to work. Now, I know those of you that are on this podcast are probably not in that group. I sure hope not anyway. But can you imagine almost 25%, almost 1 in 4 Americans get no other exercise than getting up and going to work. And as a result, we're seeing a great increase in obesity, which is, I think all of you know the frightening statistics in obesity. If you go into any airport or go to any mall, look around and you can see the results of our lack of exercise and our lack of eating appropriate diets or eating appropriate amounts. And as a result, diseases like diabetes, which are serious diseases, are on the increase at an alarming rate. In fact, almost 11% of adults in the United States alone are suffering from diabetes. And what we're now seeing, of course, is the big result of all of that. People are dying sooner, whether it's from homicides and suicides, but also dying from heart disease. Heart disease death rates are on the increase. And they're on the increase because people are too big, they're not exercising, and they are eating the inappropriate things. And so we, on this podcast, want to make sure that we're reaching each and every one of you so that you do not find yourself in any of these statistics. We have to make the choice to live a healthier life. And I think that begins with rediscovering our purpose, rediscovering honestly and clearly to ourselves, what is the reason we're on this earth? And what is it that makes us truly happy and truly content? I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I'm well trained as a physician, but I knew that the knowledge in my head was not going to help me to be a healthier person unless I made a choice that says, this is my life, this is my body, this is my obligation to do right by it, to make it as healthy as possible so I can be as vigorous as possible, so that I have the energy to do all the things that I want to do for saving the world, for helping people in need, for helping me to have a wonderful engagement with the world around me. So making the choice, and that choice is based upon our purpose. So if you do anything else today, would you please do me the favor today and make a decision to ask yourself in a quiet room, why am I here? What's my purpose? And in that sense of that purpose, then make a commitment to be as healthy as possible, as energetic as possible, so that you will be able to live out that purpose. And that's when things really start to line up and they feel really exciting. Let me show you something that I think is important. It's a quote from Ilchi Lee that really animates me and teaches me what I really think is important here. He says that whatever life you've lived, it has been yours. All the moments of your life have come together to make you who you are now. It's your unique history and no one else's. But with this in mind, you should have sincere gratitude for the background of your life story and for all the times, places, and people who appeared in it as characters. More than anything else, you should love and be grateful to yourself for making it through all those moments to arrive where you are now. Well, thank you for that. I tell you, many of us have had hard journeys, some harder than others, but all of us have had our share of struggles and our share of challenges. All of those things teach us a lesson. When we look backward, we can learn from the past. But the goal here is not to be trapped by the past. It's to be excited about the future. And I'm excited about my future. I want you, each and every one of you, to be excited about your future. Well, the second thing we're going to talk about over the coming weeks and months is taking the actions that are necessary to be physically healthy. So now we are knowing that we really do need to have a sense of our bodies, a sense of how well our bodies are working, what our challenges are, and what are the kind of things that we need to be able to do that. I have been intrigued, as you'll see on this next slide, I have been very intrigued by this concept that I have been taught by my teachers at Body and Brain, and that is that this notion that my body is not me, but it's mine. And I think this is a very liberating concept that Ilchi Lee talks about in his book. This notion that who is the person in charge of this entity that we call ourselves? Well, deep inside, there is an eternal us, a lasting us. There is true self inside of ourselves. And we are lucky enough to have been given these bodies, these vessels that allow us to participate in the process of life, in the process of creation. Long ago, this wonderful drawing by Leonardo da Vinci really laid out in a way sort of a spiritual message, but talking about the relationship between what does a healthy body look like, and our relationship between our body and the larger forces around us. My body is not me, it is mine. And I, therefore, can make a choice about how I will engage with this body. Thank you for that slide. And I'm very excited that as I think about my own sort of physical health, I've made those choices every day to be able to do the exercises and the engagements necessary for me to be physically healthy. Number one, I will say to everyone in the audience, if there is any one of you that is still smoking tobacco, please make today the day you stop. Tobacco smoking is incompatible with any sense of having a healthy life, a healthy body, a healthy you. It's also not treating very well the body that we have been given that allows us to interact with the world. If we are obese because we're eating too much or eating the wrong things, we'll help to talk to you about that in the shows to come. But we really want you to be very attentive to what you're eating and how much you're eating, because we want you to feel good all the time. If you are a person that's abusing substances, alcohol, and other drugs, this is the time to start making the decision that you're going to avoid that. You're going to change. And you're going to have a lot of help and support from people around you to help you to do that. And then, of course, there's the need to be physically active and have our physical activity. There's something that Ilchi Lee has taught me that I think is very important. If we show the slide, it says that life is exercise and exercise is life. I have really enjoyed that concept. So the notion you see here are people stretching, people doing Tai Chi, people stretching before they go run. All of these kinds of things are extremely useful and important. Thank you for that slide. And I'll tell you, what I really like about the quote that life is exercise and exercise is life is that through the teaching that we will give you over the coming weeks and months, we're going to talk about integrating exercise into our lives, not making it a special thing. For example, this is one of the great tips from the book 120 Years. And that is every hour we can make a choice to do 1 minute of exercise. Very easy. You're sitting in your chair right now watching this. After we finish, you stand up and sit down. Stand up and sit down. Stand up and sit down. Exercising the muscles in your legs, exercising your heart, raising your heart rate as you stand up and down for just 1 minute. Now, that didn't take any special gym uniform, no special expensive tennis shoes. You didn't have to have a special gym membership. You can decide to spend a minute later on in the day to just doing push-ups for a minute, sit-ups for a minute, doing calisthenics for a minute. Every hour of the day, just make a choice. I'll spend 1 minute every hour doing exercises. And then, of course, you can be more formal than that. I enjoy doing, for example, Tai Chi. And so every day, I have this great opportunity to be involved with Tai Chi training. It brings me great physical stamina. I get great cardiovascular exercise. I get great balance. I get great flexibility. And above all, I get great peace of mind. And so I build all of these things in together. So we would really hope that each of you begins to get to this understanding of how to exercise, but how to do it simply. So the 1 minute exercises are great, or just walking. Walking is just fun. And if you do walking as meditation walking, as we will teach you and talk about in the coming shows, you'll really have fun. I do meditation walking regularly. And I'll tell you, when I put on some great spiritual music on my headset and I go out and I walk and I'm contemplating and thinking about my relationship to important spiritual issues. And as I am walking, I am getting not only my physical exercise, but enormous amounts of spiritual and mental peace. So I'm on a crusade to get everybody exercising regularly, eating properly, not abusing tobacco, not abusing alcohol and other drugs, and really making those choices necessary to give yourself vitality. Take it from me. When you do these things regularly, you will have so much energy and so much enthusiasm that you can accomplish anything. The possibilities are endless. Well, third thing we're going to talk about in this series of podcasts will be how do we enhance our mental health. And our mental health is really, really important. These are some of the things that we will be touching on in the days to come. These are techniques that Ilchi Lee has developed. And I think that I find them to be very useful. Things like sensitizing our brain by raising awareness of our brain and our senses, and brain versatalizing by increasing the flexibility to accept change, freeing our brain from negativity, awakening the life force in our brainstem and integrating it across our brain, and then finally learning how to intentionally employ the brain's core functions. By the way, for those of you that want to get at this kind of stuff right now, let me tell you, subscribe to Brain Education TV to learn more about the brain and these techniques. Thank you for that. And I'll tell you that I am really, really excited about those kinds of techniques. I don't think any person living in the United States today, and those of you that are listening to us around the world, can ever avoid the level of tension that seems to be categorizing our society. Our world now has become so divisive. It has become so tribal, so adversarial. People don't treat each other well. People are always on edge. There's so much stress and tension that is delivered to us through our cable news channels and our newspapers and our radios and so forth. We are struggling, almost every person that I talk to live lives that have peace and serenity in them. Well, I want you to have that peace, and I want you to have that serenity. I want you to learn these techniques, and we'll be bringing experts to bear who can help us all to be able to use and employ the tools and the techniques such as those that we just showed in the previous slide, and to be able to apply them in our lives so that we can decrease that tension and decrease that anxiety and approach our lives with greater serenity. I know that I start using these techniques early in the morning as I engage my own sense of spiritual prayer and meditation. And I work very hard to use this kind of knowledge to bring down my anxiety level, to help me to remember that this is a beautiful world filled with wonderful possibilities and great miracles, and that I need my brain to be calm and serene so that I can engage in it the way I want. And I'll tell you this, we probably are similar. I've made a decision not to let other people or external events intrude on my good day. I'm not going to let other people have my life. I can control my life. My body is not me, it's mine. And I can decide and learn how to implement being in charge of myself and not giving that away to others. The next area that we will be able to talk about is in fact, developing our spiritual lives. And I really enjoy, as I mentioned, meditation. And I think so many of you that are on this podcast, you're here because this is a posture that you take regularly. And it's one that certainly inspires all of us. I'm excited by that spiritual journey. I know that the deeper I go in my own meditation, the lessons that I learn, the truths that are revealed, the calmness that comes, the connectivity, the light, the energy, the engagement are all so overwhelming and so powerful. So thank you for that slide. And I just want to encourage, even in this introductory show, that each of us Be in touch with your soul. Make it your decision today to sit in a room quietly. Turn out the lights or light a candle. But find your little space, your little corner of the world, and make that your little corner of the world. Make that your special place. And go to that special place and sit quietly. And we'll be talking about meditation techniques, you can be sure, but you don't need to wait till we get to that part of the podcast. You can do it today. You can just make a choice. Have that little spot in your apartment, that little spot in your house, wherever you are. Make that little dedicated place, quiet everything down, and then just sit and quiet yourself down and be in touch with your true, authentic self, and then live your life accordingly. Make meditation your lifetime practice. Well, the fifth thing and the last that we will be touching on is extremely important, and that is protecting and connecting with the world around us. This is a picture that and a quote that inspires me greatly. This is Gandhi, and I don't think that the world has ever met anyone more wonderful and exciting and a better teacher of how to translate our spiritual relationship to the world into change in the world. And as this quote is very famous, it says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And so as we begin to come out and engage in engaging in the world and trying to make it a better world, we need to be able to connect. And thank you for the slide. And we now want to start reminding each of us, let's change ourselves, make ourselves as pure as possible. Let ourselves be the example of what it is we hope the world will be like. And then we'll be so much better able to connect with others, particularly to connect with others who may see things differently than we do. To get out of our own tribe, our own box, our own preconceptions, but to be able to reach out to others and find common ground as we try to recreate a different kind of world. That's what I think Gandhi was all about, was purifying himself, making himself as pure and clean a vessel as he could so that he could engage with others and bring about the world that we all want. Ilchi Lee in his book talks an awful lot about our responsibility to the environment. I think each of you that are watching this podcast could not be unaware of the new report that came out from the United States government only in the last, recently time. And that report made it again, on top of many, many, many other reports, that our world is in trouble, that global warming is intensifying, and the consequences are being felt all over the world. This is a very, very sad and concerning set of information. We need to be a part of the movement that people like Ilchi Lee have been calling for as we develop Earth citizens, citizens who are committed to having a healthy world, along with healthy people, along with healthy relationships between people. And so we're very excited to talk about this idea and how we come together to do that. We need people, for example, as Ilchi Lee talks about, is having seniors connect with young people connect with seniors, each mentoring and tutoring the others. I know I learned so much of my technical skills from young children, but I pass on the wisdom of life that they don't have back to them in trade. We need people to go into people's homes and volunteer. There are so many seniors in our country who are living alone. So many seniors around the world living alone, by themselves, isolated. And young people so busy with their own lives, scurrying about and not realizing that there is an older person who just needs somebody to come and say hello. There's an older person that just needs somebody to go shopping and bring back a few groceries for them, or just a nice chance to share what's going on in the news or play a game of chess. These are simple things to do, but I will tell you this, I know from my own experience, every time I do it, the person that benefits the most is me, not the person I'm helping. So everybody wins in a scenario like this. And that's what we really ultimately want to do, is have people volunteer and connect. We shouldn't be thinking of our lives in isolation. We need to connect with young people, connect to older people. These are the things that give our lives transcendent meaning and greater value. Well, this is just an introduction to what we're going to be talking about. I have to tell you, we are so excited when we think about the guests that we're going to be bringing to you over the journey of this podcast series. Let me just show you a slide with some of the topics that are coming up that you'll be able to, I hope, enjoy and participate. But we're going to talk about how to achieve a maximally healthy body that's conducive to our spiritual advancement. We're going to talk about this power of choice and how do we decide to make choices? What's our life's purpose? We're going to learn from other people that have made the decision to change their lives. Many of these are older people who have made choices to do things that we didn't think that seniors could do. Those will be great lessons for the seniors watching our podcast, but it'll also be great lessons for the young people as well. We're going to learn how we can make our brains as healthy as possible and how we can enhance our spiritual lives and well-being. I'm really looking forward to the show where we talk about how to be happier and experience more joy and learning how to do it. I'm going to be also excited by a lesson that I have had to work very hard on, and that's letting go of attachments and finding peace. You know, we get so caught up in all the stuff we have, or the stuff we've got to have, or the stuff we wish we had we didn't have. We go chasing after things like hamsters on a wheel. How do we let go of that and find peace? Our world is so divided and everybody's angry. We're going to talk about how do we release stress and anxiety. And we'll talk about how to be better connected with our community and how we can do it. So those are the things that are coming down the road. But you know, you probably will have some thoughts as well. So let's show you how you can connect with us. You can connect with us through these ways. And we're going to be learning from you. You'll tell us some of the things that you want us to talk about. You'll give us feedback. We want to make this Live 120 Years podcast your podcast. You're the most important person in all the world to us as we go through this exercise. We're talking to you, and we want to be relevant for you. So go to our website, contact us through the contact that's there, and you'll have a chance to help us to tailor this experience to meet your needs. Well, thank you for that. And I have to say, as we close out this first episode, we're excited, we're energized, and we have so much information from Ilchi Lee's book and the experts that we've assembled. We have so much to share with you. We can't wait to get at it. So stay tuned for the next episode. And until then, make the choice to live a healthier life. Until then, make the decision to find your purpose and to think about how you can enhance your living that purpose through having a better, healthy, physical, mental, and spiritual state of affairs. And finally, if you're not exercising, make today be the day that you choose that 1-minute exercise. If you're not meditating and you know you should, today's the day you make that choice to sit quietly and enjoy all the benefits that come from just sitting and being quiet. We care about you. See you next time.